daughter Edie came out to me as trans 5 years ago. And 2 years later, she socially transitioned to a girl.
My daughter inspired my own transition.
Oh my God.
And to have a transgender child has made me so much more interesting.
The reaction when people hear that we have 2 trans kids is pretty shock and awe.
The odds that you have 2 transgender children, 0.002%. But the chances of you being a narcissistic pig, 100. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my little winter wonderland in my house. Happy holidays, everybody. First of all, wait, Trump won. Merry Christmas. We're saying Merry Christmas again, bitches.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I think that's like my favorite Kamala moment. I am someone who has talked a lot about transgender children on this channel. It's probably the thing I'm the most hated and known for within the trans community. My opposition to the entire concept, really. I mean, to me, put that on the list of other fictitious and mythological creatures because it's just not a thing. What is a thing, though, is parents, right, making decisions for children. And I'm not going to go over, all the reasons why transitioning children is not only nonsensical, to say the least, but also demented, demonic, evil, right? What I'm actually going to do today is focus on the parents.
This is Ari, Gwendolyn, and Brinifer. They are in a polyamorous relationship.
We have a 2-year-old antigender baby and a 10-year-old who is non-binary.
I think sometimes we get caught up in focusing a bit much on the child and the spectacle of the transgender child and not focusing enough on the parents. And I think that when you actually start to analyze the behavior of these mothers in particular, there's a lot to be understood about this issue. Transhousing by proxy. Now, this is a term you may have seen floating around social media. It's what people are using more and more to describe this phenomena of what seems to be the super demented offshoot of what we all know and recognize as Munchausen by proxy. Think of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Think of, the children who unfortunately go through their mothers forcing illness upon them for their own well, because they're sick, right? Because the mothers themselves are sick. So think of this as that, but with a side of sex change.
He just now, a month ago, started hormone blockers. It's an implant. It is to prevent his puberty. It will prevent a menstruation cycle and breast development. Do people ever wonder if you're too young to know if you're trans?
Yeah, and are they too young to know that they're cis?
I mean, it's demented. Focusing on the trans kids themselves, it addresses the problem, right? But it doesn't really address the root of the problem. Because if there's something wrong with the apple, you do in fact have to look at the tree. The best thing we can do is just let them speak.
I think the greatest gift of my life is to have kids, and to have a transgender child has made me so much more interesting, so much more wise.
Well, there it is. There it is, folks. It is, in fact, first of all, people aren't ready for this truth a lot of the times, but I say it anyways. It's also a white thing. It's a middle to upper class white thing. We don't talk about race a ton on this channel. Perhaps we should, but for me, a lot of this trans child phenomena, the non-binary phenomena, the everlasting, never-ending rainbow acronym, right, is in large part because white people have been so neutered spiritually by the media. They're not allowed to have an identity that is based around their race, like every other race, right? So they're looking for other things. They're looking to be, not the oppressive white woman that the media and that their politicians tell them they are. They're looking for an out. They're looking for a scapegoat. They're looking to say, no, I'm not actually a Karen. I'm not actually the racist white woman that the media says I am. I have a transgender child. And it's made me so interesting. Narcissism. It's written all over her. This is about her. Where even is the child? And think about even further than just on a personal level. I'm sure she's so much more interesting to all her, affluent white liberal friends, right? She also gets to be on a podium and gets to be this celebrated political activist and gets to go and speak to crowds who are, laughing about her saying it makes her interesting. This ain't about you. Deborah. And the reason we're reacting to these parents is because this, to me, if you don't understand the psychology of the parents who were engaging in this transgender child thing, then you really don't understand the issue. You really don't understand where it's coming from, and you don't understand how to curb it. Because there's going to be, confused children till the end of time. But the difference between them having irreversible surgeries, irreversible things done to them, is a parent who has their head screwed on right. And this woman clearly doesn't. And the common denominator is it's all about them. Obviously, one of the biggest problems with this topic is just how much misinformation is out there about trans kids. And in today's media landscape, it's harder than ever to find the truth. Stories are framed with clear and obvious bias. Key perspectives are often sidelined, and echo chambers keep us divided. That's where Ground News comes in, an amazing tool that I personally use on a daily basis. I've been using it for months, and it's really helped my life. Ground News brings together over 50,000 news sources worldwide, so you can compare how different outlets are covering the same story. With every article, it shows who owns the outlet, their political bias, and their reliability, all backed by ratings from independent news monitoring organizations. For example, take this story: first transgender attorney to argue before the Supreme Court, challenging healthcare ban for minors. It's been covered by 161 sources, with 38 leaning left, 17 leaning right, and 46 center. Scroll through Ground News and you can see how the article's headlines are presented. This left-wing outlet calls it "Care for Transgender Minors is at Stake in Supreme Court Case," obviously showing their bias and their side. While on the right, the headline is "Biological Sex is a Natural Reality, Scholars Tell Supreme Court." It's fascinating to see how different narratives and biases can affect just the headline alone and obviously shape a narrative. One of my favorite features is the blind spot feed. It's where you'll find stories that are underreported by either side of the political spectrum. It's perfect for breaking out of echo chambers, which I think we all should be striving to do. Why settle for one side of the news when you can get every angle of the story in the link in my description below? Go to ground.news/Blaire White to get 50% off their unlimited features with their Vantage plan. It's the plan I trust. It's Ground News' biggest sale of the year, and they're doing extremely important work to make sure that we're all getting all sides of every story, and I fully endorse them. So don't miss out, and thank you so much to Ground News for sponsoring this video. But on to the video.
He's excited to be here. Marshall, do you want to do a week 4 on testosterone, boys?
Week 4, the same.
How are you feeling?
The same.
Any effects? Anything changing?
Not really. Yeah.
Any high points? Any good things?
Not really.
Okay. A few things stood out to me. As you can see, this is on the account called Sarah, which I'm assuming is not the young female trying to be a male here. So this is the mom's TikTok account. So getting clouts and click off your clearly, I say this with love, obviously this is a baby. It's narcissism. That's a keyword you have to understand when you're looking at these mothers. It is always, maybe not say always, it is so often about them, about getting clicks for themselves, attention for themselves, virtue signaling that they're such amazing, loving, accepting parents. Another thing that stood out is, regardless of whether you think transition is something that benefits adults or children or whatever, one thing that is pretty, well understood is that there is this sort of like initial euphoria you get when you start transitioning. You start feeling good about yourself. Again, whether you think it's long lasting or a good solution or whatever, it's well known that at the very beginning, you're quite happy. You're happy to be on this new path. At least I was. I can only speak for myself and really every trans person I've known, which is at the beginning, it's all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, other fictitious creatures. And for this, child to say that there are no good points and no high points, first of all, why are you filming this? Sarah. Oftentimes in my videos, when we're making fun of like basic bitches, I pretend their name is Sarah, but Sarah, for real, what are you doing? Exploiting your child like this is actually deranged. Far be it for me to tell anybody how to parent, right? Never done it myself, but I feel like, if you were in the shoes of someone who, let's just say the mother really did really was fooled and really did think that transition was the best thing for her child. You know, these mothers are often gaslit into thinking that if they don't let their child do that, if they don't go through with this, the child's going to have worse problems or, you know, delete themselves, right? Let's just go there. I would expect that any mother would prioritize privacy of that child, even if they think transition is the right thing to do. And the fact that you're just up here like this, and this child is so depressed on your TikTok, I mean, it's just sick. It's about you, Sarah. Everyone can tell.
The reaction when people hear that we have 2 trans kids is pretty shock and awe.
Before I had transitioned, I had like a piece missing to me and it just didn't feel right. And I was nervous to tell my parents.
Being trans would mean you were born the gender that you don't feel like in your heart.
Just now, a month ago, started hormone blockers to prevent his menstruation cycle and breast development, which would cause a lot of havoc mentally. Can you show me what the blocker looks like that's implanted? First, show me in your arm. Where is it?
It's right there.
Right there? Can I feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. First of all, the odds that you have 2, not just 1, 2 transgender children is, according to ChatGPT, 0.002%. I don't have to even ask ChatGPT this, but the chances of you being a narcissistic pig, 100. 100. Is that mean? Yes. I was trying to be mean. This is some bovine behavior. This one's hitting different. This one's hitting like, first of all, do people understand what a big deal it is to let a camera crew like this, a professional camera crew in your home? That is a level of intentionality that is, again, very self-serving, because she gets to sit here up on her pedestal, up on camera, and put out this video to the world about, you know, all the things we're talking about, tolerant, loving, exclusive, you know, liberal, whatever. You put an implant in your baby to block their natural development. See, the older I get, I never thought I would be one of those people who's like, oh, things really are demonic, but they are. I never thought I would be the kind of person that really starts to blame demons. And people laugh when I say, you know, all the demonic stuff, and people don't really take me seriously. And half the time I am joking, so I can't really blame you. But however, let's just say whoever convinced this woman, right? Whoever injected this into the media apparatus, telling, again, middle class to upper class white women that putting an implant to stop the development of their child, their daughter, is something that a good person does. That is some straight inversion of goodness. And this makes you want to cry, to be honest. It really does. It's just like all the, you know, things that we can say until we're blue in the face. Like, you know, you can't make these decisions so early and, you know, it's irreversible and all that. Like, all that's true. But it's like, I just can't imagine going through this much at this age. I'm someone who went through a lot by the time I was this kid's age, but nothing like this. And I feel like altering the hormonal makeup of a child, implants at like, come on. You know, I really didn't want to like make the argument against transgender children in this video because I feel like I've done that so many times, but this is just killing me. Just a list. How about we just do a list of the things you can't even do in this country till you're 18? Vote, sign contracts, get married, join the military, apply for a credit card, purchase a firearm, serve on a jury, get tattoos, gamble, purchase lottery tickets, work full-time, rent or lease property, drive unrestricted, legally leave school. You actually can't do that until you're 18. Sue or be sued, consent to medical procedures. Oh, without parental approval. See, there's that little loophole. Be tried as an adult or adopt a child. But you can sterilize yourself for life, permanently alter your body through surgery, as long as it's called gender surgery, right? Gender affirming care. And in California, a trans sanctuary state, by the way, just to add to this list, you can't even get in a tanning bed till you're 18. So tell me what's going on. Please make the case that these people are not going to be remembered as the Nazi scientists, as the lobotomists of this time, right? Please make any sort of case that we're not going to look back on bovine mothers like this doing this to their children. The same way we look back at people who gave their children lobotomies because the science of the time told them that that was correct. You can actually just use common sense. See, that's the thing. The whole trust the science shit, right? You can do that, but never really at the erasure of your own common sense, right? And I feel like that's just where we're at. That you're supposed to have this blind religious faith in science. So much so that what would have seemed ludicrous 5 minutes ago is now an implant in the arm of a young female to prevent her from ever developing or having children herself. That is another argument you can make. It's not demons. It's not demonic. Okay. Wow. Wow. Again, is narcissism even a strong enough word? You know, you can just have another child, right? And try to hope for a son. You know, you can adopt a child. You can adopt a male child and have that son. Jumping to giving my daughter a sex change, however, that's a bit beyond the pale. And why you thought it was cute or becoming of you as a woman, as an adult, as a parent, to make this shallow ass, selfish ass, your hair is just blowing in the wind. It's the son you've always wanted. Again, if you are in the equation at all, trans parents, something in the water ain't clean. You should not be factoring into this at all. If it really is, as y'all argue, this life-saving treatment, and it's about saving the child's life, and it's about the child, then why are you making these type of videos, hair blowing in the wind? Oh, it didn't even look good.
What concerns have you had about speaking out?
That I'm gonna be like murdered. Like one day I'm gonna be walking down the street and somebody's gonna come up and like shoot me or something.
That's a really scary thing to be worrying about at 10 years old.
Yeah, that should not be a worry.
Michelle, what's going through your mind as you hear your daughter say this?
It's just hard to hear her say that. And she asked me three questions after she heard who won the election. Are we gonna have to move? Are they gonna take me away from you? And am I not gonna be able to get my medicine? It's frightening.
Okay. Each clip is really hitting me differently. This one makes me this one is enraging me. This is an amazing representation of what I see with all of these trans parents, right? These parents of trans kids. You're, first of all, not only validating and inflating your child's confusion and emotions that maybe genuinely were present, right? Like maybe this gender confusion really was present in your child. But not only are you inflating those confusions, you are allowing your child to believe that because of the president, that they are in physical harm's way. Why you didn't think that as a mother, it's not part of your job to protect the mental well-being of your child, and that even if things are going wrong, you actually are supposed to lie. You're supposed to lie. If you can't pay rent that month, you're not supposed to tell your child that. You're supposed to make it happen. You're supposed to make it work. You're not supposed to concern your child with the evils of the world, and you're definitely not supposed to misrepresent them either. I mean, allowing your child to engage in this belief that they are at risk of being murdered because of who won a presidential election, you're just a bad mom. And this is so sad. The interviewer too, all the adults in the room are sick for, first of all, even putting together a trans kid panel because of who won the election, politicizing children, using them as political props. And second of all, not correcting them and comforting them, but in fact, inciting these emotions for television. Bad mom and sick on CNN's part to do. What a shocker, CNN being sick. But this for me, you know, I can only, again, I can't tell anybody how to parent, even though I've been doing that the whole video. What I can say though, is that as someone who was once a child myself, and had parents, you kind of, once you get to a certain age, you can start recognizing, okay, what did they do right? What did they do wrong? For me, children have enough time in their lives, as in when they're not children anymore, to worry about shit like this. It's your job as a mother, as a parent, to protect them from that while they're so young and innocent and should be enjoying life and playing with their friends and, enjoying being a kid. Mind blown, Susie, mind blown. This one's sick. Politicizing children's always gross. Politicizing children and giving them sex changes is just beyond. It's beyond.
My daughter Edie came out to me as trans 5 years ago, and 2 years later she socially transitioned to a girl. And since then I've watched her blossom into a beautiful young lady, and so much in her life has changed. It's been such a positive experience. But I also see people asking all the time, what if she changes her mind? What if she's not happy? So I thought, let's go ask her.
Edie,
Yeah?
it's been 5 years since you've been a girl. Are you happy?
Yeah?
And that's the only thing that matters. I love you, Edie.
That's actually not the only thing that matters, right? Like, if your child was drinking Drano, but in fact enjoyed the taste, would you then say, well, as long as you're happy? No. If they were hopscotching on the freeway, as long as you're happy? No. Permanently altering their sex characteristics is actually what, people survive playing in traffic as kids. You can't come back from this. Also, some very relevant information here. My producer just told me that this man, this TikToker, so first of all, using your kids for clicks, disgusting. The family vlogger shit is just ugh. It's like child stars on steroids and even more unethical. But apparently this father wrote a book where he talked about his fantasies of wearing women's clothing. What a coincidence his male child is now. What a coincidence. See, it's rare we have a dad up in here, but of course it would be even more demented than a mother. Of course it would have some sort of perversion to it as well. I hate this man. And I feel so bad for this child.
My daughter was 2 years old when she knew she was trans.
I'm raising awareness and support for other transgender kids. I'm the youngest transgender model to ever walk in New York Fashion Week.
My daughter inspired my own transition.
Oh my God.
For Noella, after she did her legal transition when she was 7, she had her name changed.
I made history walking in New York Fashion Week as the youngest trans model.
Watching my daughter deal with media, deal with critics, go on the runway in New York Fashion Week and be like, I'm out, I'm proud, I'm trans, I'm 10 years old. I can tell work, I'm transgender, I can do these things. And so I definitely say that Noella pushed and inspired me to continue to move forward in my own transition and living my own authentic life.
I was not prepared for that one. That one hit different. You transitioned because your child transitioned first. So first of all, the layers, right? It's multi-layered here. You're profiting off your child. Your child's a model. I would like to know if that pay is going in a solo bank account for the child when they come 18, or how are you splitting up the funds for this model? How are you splitting those funds up? Question. Second of all, you are putting them out to media. Again, you have a whole camera crew in your household, and that may seem small to certain people, and I understand that, but the level of intentionality, it's a kind of a big thing to have that, all these dramatic shots of them walking or looking, the B-roll shots. You guys know those shots on you'll see episodes of Dr. Phil where they're looking out the window, pondering, and they're talking about murdering their fiance or some they take 7 of those. Take it from someone who's been involved in production for years. It is no small deal to yes, camera crew, come in my house, film my child at their most vulnerable, really cement this time in their life where I'm profiting off of their vulnerabilities and confusion and enhancing my own. I hate it. I hate it. So many people talk about this being a social contagion. I mean, I've seen it spread from kid to kid, right? You have friend groups transitioning. I have not, in fact, seen it like this, where it spreads from child to parent. Oh my God, it says the child has 2 trans parents. How does it get worse? How does it get worse? How does it keep getting worse? 2 trans parents. This is straight diabolical. I would say it's out of a movie, but in fact, I don't think even the most deranged minds would write this movie. Who's writing this script? I don't think the human centipede author, writer himself is coming up with this. We don't have to even mention how sick the modeling industry is. Take it from someone who's, I keep using the fact that I'm in the entertainment industry as an argument here, but it's real. Take it from someone who's met many people in the modeling industry. The entire thing is just sex trafficking. The whole thing. Not 90%, not 85%. The whole thing is an underground, above ground, but operating underground sex trafficking business. That's what happens to models. So you're putting your 10-year-old trans child in there, and then you're so inspired by them that you're transitioning. Oh my God. I've seen a lot of on my channel over the years. That's different. I feel like we've accurately made the point here that this is never about the child. There are some parents who are genuinely swindled into this, and I've met some of them actually. When I was on tour, I actually met a mother who their child is now a detransitioner, but was one of those mothers who got swept up in the medical industry telling lies, and she was gaslit into transitioning her child. They were able to reverse a lot of it. It was a happy story at the end of the day, but the mother came to my event crying and saying that my videos, going off on a story time here, but it's a special story. This mother came up to a meet and greet at my show and thanked me for making my videos because it helped her child realize they needed to transition. And that's ultimately what this is. This is just a huge ticking time bomb of a phenomenon. I've been saying for years, these all in up and detransitions, you've seen that. It's about to get way worse because the kids only get younger and younger. They're doing it too. See, a lot of these kids that are now these waves of detransitioners that you're seeing, they were transitioning 17, 18, 19 sometimes. What's going to happen to these babies who are like 10, 11, 12? And then you have an entire side of the political aisle that denies that it's even happening. I don't know what to tell you. Believe these people when they tell you who they are. Live, loud, and in color. They're narcissists. It's about them. If it wasn't trans, it would be some other form of Munchausen by proxy. And it is what it is. I love you guys. Make sure you subscribe to this channel as well as my podcast channel. Follow me on X and Instagram. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.